hand on him or I'll fire all of you!"
Philip yelled before hanging up. The person downstairs had to be someone from the palace. "Uncle Philip, what's going—" Before Joe could finish, Philip cut him off. "Be quiet! Stay in the office! Don't go anywhere! I have to go downstairs and meet someone important." Philip rushed out the door, leaving Joe alone in the room. Philip had always been calm and composed. Joe had never seen him panic before. He thought of Stephen. Could it be? Was Philip panicking because of him? As soon as this thought crossed his mind, Joe dismissed it. No, it couldn't be. Stephen was incompetent and useless. Philip would never be afraid of him. At this time, the security guards were questioning the receptionist, who had just gotten off the phone with Philip and hurried outside. The security guards exchanged nervous glances before looking at Stephen. They almost made a huge mistake. When the elevator doors opened, Philip ran across the lobby and rushed out of the building. He took a second to catch his breath before yelling at the security guards. "What do you think you're all doing? Why are you surrounding him? Get out of the way!" Everyone, with the exception of Stephen, held their breath when they saw Philip. He was too afraid to even look him in the eyes. "Hello, sir." Everyone was dumbfounded. Philip never bothered to go downstairs to greet anyone, not even when the head of the elite families came to visit. He would sit in his office and wait for them to come to him. "Do you already know who I am?" Stephen asked. Philip kept his head lowered. "No, I don't, but I do know that you're someone I should respect." Stephen couldn't afford to let that many people know about his identity right now. "There's too many people here. Take me somewhere we can talk privately." The two of them went to the back of the building where no one was around. Stephen gave Philip a cold look. "I'm here to tell you two things. One, tell your precious son to leave the city. I don't want to see him again. Two, visit the Cassidy family tomorrow and apologize. That's not that difficult, right?" Stephen didn't want to interfere with the palace's internal affairs right now. Otherwise, he would have kicked Philip out of the city along with his son. He couldn't stand men who treated women violently. "No problem at all. Thank you, sir." He was relieved that Stephen was letting him off easy. At the same time, he was envious of the Cassidy family. They were lucky to have the support of someone from the palace. "Also, I'm keeping my identity a secret for the time being. If you tell anyone, be prepared for the consequences." When Stephen was about to leave, he remembered something. He took the bottle of wine out of the bag and tossed it at Philip. "This is for you. Finish it well." By the time Stephen went home, Amy had returned to her dorm to prepare for midterms. Kim was in the living room, chatting with someone he didn't recognize. "Oh, Stephen, you're back. Where did you go?" "Let me introduce you. This is my friend, Caitlin. She was my classmate when I was in college. She's been away from the city for the past 3 years, and she only recently came back." Caitlin mocked Stephen. "So, you're Kim's good-for-nothing, freeloader husband." Kim and Caitlin were best friends, but Caitlin always believed Stephen had ruined Kim's life and her chances at happiness when they married. Stephen smiled in return. He didn't want to make things difficult for Kim by talking back. "Hey, watch it," Kim warned as she tugged Caitlin's arm in annoyance. "Did I say anything wrong? He barely brings home any money, and he's always wandering around out there. Isn't that the definition of a freeloader?" Caitlin had more to say, but she decided to drop it when she saw that Kim was getting upset. "Oh yeah, I heard that Joe's interested in you. He's from a prestigious family, and he's also a professor at such a young age. Don't you think he's a good catch?" "Don't talk nonsense. I'm married, and Joe isn't my type." "Whether he's your type or not, he likes you. I heard he's trying his best for the reunion next Monday. He's preparing a surprise for you." Caitlin was talking loudly on purpose so Stephen would hear her, but he didn't look bothered. He continued to watch TV as if they weren't talking about another man trying to go after his wife. Kim gave Stephen an apologetic look. "Caitlin, if you keep talking nonsense, I'm really going to get mad." Before they could continue their conversation, Natalie rushed into the house. "What's wrong, Mom?" Natalie took a deep breath to calm down. "All of you should be careful when you go outside. Do you know Christina Silva? She's famous in the underworld. I heard she's got into some kind of conflict with several powerful people. There's been so many thugs on the streets these days." Stephen kept his eyes on the TV, but he was contemplating what Natalie said. Los Angeles was the largest city in California, and Christina's network in the underground was extensive. But it didn't make sense for her to feud with random people all of a sudden. Unless there was something or someone in the city these people wanted to get their hands on. The next day, Helen held another meeting to discuss Rebecca's situation.
"Kim, have you contacted the owner of Global Investment yet?"
"Grandma, it's only been one day. I'm still trying to think of a solution." Rebecca jumped out of her seat.
"What did you say? You're still trying to contact him? Kim, do you want to see me? If I get sent to that disgusting man's house, I'll never let you get away with this."
Helen also wasn't happy with Kim. After yesterday's meeting, she had put aside her pride and begged for Philip's son to forgive Rebecca. One day had passed, but Kim didn't make any progress.
"Explain yourself,"
Helen demanded. Kim glanced at Stephen for help. After all, he was the one who had confidently told her to agree with Helen's demands. But Stephen didn't seem interested in the conversation. He was eating the snacks on the table without a care in the world. "I really don't know how to contact him," Kim said. "But the president of the Business Alliance has a nephew, and I've asked him for help. Maybe he can turn things around."
"I don't care what you've done. I only want results. Give him a call right now."
Stephen pointed to the door with a smile. "There's no need to call him. He's here." Joe arrived in a wheelchair with Amy pushing him into the house. Kim's eyes widened when she saw Joe wrapped in bandages. He was fine the last time she saw him. "Joe, what happened?" Joe glared at Stephen. Next Monday, he would make Kim his. "It's nothing serious. I just need to rest for a few days. I'll be fine by next Monday for the class reunion."
"Kim, we're not having this meeting so you and him can reminisce about the old days,"
Rebecca said impatiently.
"Hurry up and ask him how it's going."
Helen greeted Joe politely because he was Philip's nephew.
"Excuse me, how should we address you?"
Joe introduced himself proudly. "It's nice to meet you, Miss Helen. I'm Joe Holloway. I'm a professor at Amy's University. And I'm also Philip Pace's nephew."
"I apologize for getting straight to the point, but could you give us an update on Rebecca's matter?"
Helen asked. Kim spoke up when Joe looked at her. "You can tell us. Whether you succeeded or not, I'm still grateful to you all the same." "Ever since I promised Kim that I would take care of it, I've been treating this as an urgent issue. Yesterday, I personally went to the Business Alliance headquarters to meet with my uncle. He was really angry because he cares a lot about his son. I tried to persuade him to forgive Miss Rebecca for making a mistake, and I also passed on Kim's message that the Cassidy family would compensate for the medical expenses. My uncle was actually ready to settle the matter peacefully, but who would have thought?" Joe paused and stared at Stephen. "Let's see how you talk your way out of this one," he thought. Helen was relieved when she heard that Philip was planning to let it go.
"Please continue."
"Who would have thought that someone would show up unannounced? He made my uncle so angry that he changed his mind. My uncle even said that he would make the Cassidy family pay."
"What? Who was it?"
"It was Stephen. He barged into my uncle's office and cursed at him. He said the Cassidy family is more powerful than the Business Alliance, and he threatened to harm his son." Helen stood up and glared daggers at Stephen.
"If you married into our family, that means you represent us. Why did you go there and say something that crazy?"
Rebecca rushed in front of Stephen.
"You intentionally forcing me into a corner, aren't you?"
Before she could grab his collar, Kim intervened. "Stephen, is that true?" Stephen leaned over the table and casually reached for another snack.
Half of it.
Only half of it? Joe echoed. Let me ask you, did you go to the Business Alliance headquarters yesterday?
Yes, I did. I went there to give your uncle a gift.
Stephen made it sound like it had cost him a fortune. Kim sat back down and massaged her temples. Why was he always causing trouble for her whenever she was in a difficult situation?
But that's not all,
Stephen said. The answer Philip gave me was very different from how you made it out to be.
He was polite. He said my gift was exceptional and that he would visit the Cassidy family today and apologize.
Silence filled the room. Everyone stared at Stephen like they were looking at a madman. Why would he be coming here to apologize? Stephen, that's enough, Kim shouted. Stop talking nonsense. I'm tired of always getting caught up in your mess. I won't ask you for help anymore, okay? Just please stop making things worse. Stephen fell silent. Maybe he was taking things too far when no one knew his real identity. Okay, I'm sorry, he said softly. Rebecca couched on the floor in defeat.
Kim, you and Stephen planned this together, didn't you? Your goal is to get rid of me, am I right?
Helen looked around.
What are you all waiting for? Tie him up and throw him in front of the Business Alliance headquarters.
Several members of the Cassidy family surrounded Stephen. Joe grinned. Today, he would make sure that Stephen was kicked out of the Cassidy family. Just then, a booming voice came from outside the house. Sorry for the interruption. I'm Philip Pace, the president of the Business Alliance. I'm here to apologize. Joe didn't believe for a second that Philip was really standing outside the house. Philip had no intention of giving in yesterday. How could he have changed his mind overnight? That was impossible. Stephen, I didn't think you had it in you. Did you really find an actor to pretend to be my uncle? If I didn't come today, you would have deceived your entire family. Helen was of the same mind. She didn't think Philip would apologize in person unless he went crazy.
What are you waiting for, Stephen? Didn't you hear what he said? Hurry up and chase away that imposter at the door. Your scheme's been exposed. You'll only be embarrassing yourself if he comes in.
I suggest you let him in, or else I'm afraid he'll regret it for the rest of his life, Stephen said. Miss Helen, since he doesn't want to admit it, we should let that imposter in. Let's see how talented this actor is. Joe was Philip's nephew, so Helen had no choice but to do as he said.
All right, let him in.
When the door opened, a man rushed into the room and kneeled on the floor with his head lowered. Lift your head and let us see your face. How dare you pretend to be my uncle? Joe said. The moment the man looked up, Joe's smile disappeared. Uncle Philip? Is it really you? Everyone was in disbelief. Helen swallowed hard. It really was the president of the Business Alliance. Philip glanced at Joe, but he didn't say anything. He lowered his head again. I'm Philip Pace, and I'm here to apologize to the Cassidy family. Please forgive me. Helen snapped out of her shock and hurried over to Philip to help him up.
Mr. Pace, please get up.
But when she held Philip's arm, he didn't budge an inch. I'll continue to kneel until you forgive me. Helen had been the head of the Cassidy family for many years, and she had experienced many things in her life. It didn't take long for her to grasp the situation. Philip had an arrogant personality, and he would never humiliate himself by kneeling down and begging for forgiveness. There could only be one explanation. Someone powerful was behind this. Whoever it was had used their influence to force Philip to come today.
Mr. Pace, please get up. We forgive you.
Thank you, Miss Helen, Philip exclaimed. He was relieved that he had finally completed the task that Stephen had given him. He staggered to his feet, but his knees went weak when he spotted Stephen sitting at the table. Uncle Philip, what's wrong with you? Joe demanded. He had almost been successful in getting Stephen kicked out of the Cassidy family, but Philip's arrival had ruined everything. Not to mention, Philip had even apologized and asked for forgiveness. Their reputation was at stake because of him. However, one glare from Philip was enough to shut Joe up. Be quiet.
I'll deal with you when we get back.
Philip wasted no time and turned Joe's wheelchair around. After they left, everyone was as stiff as a statue. They exchanged glances and whispered amongst themselves. What did I just witness? Was I dreaming? Just a second ago, we were all worried that the business alliance would wipe out our family. But all of a sudden, their president showed up and begged us to forgive him. Was everything that Stephen said just now true? Helen turned to Stephen.
What's going on here? Explain yourself. I've already said everything that needed to be said.
Stephen leaned over to Kim and whispered,
I have something to do, so I'll go home first.
Everyone watched him leave the house in large strides.
Stephen really was telling the truth,
Amy said. Kim's heart clenched. She had jumped to conclusions and yelled at him when he hadn't done anything wrong. It was like she never believed in him. I know, Amy. I'll have a talk with him later. After Kim and Amy left, Rebecca took Helen's hand.
Grandma, I've done it! I finally succeeded!
Upon hearing this, everyone looked at Rebecca with a puzzled expression. Helen scolded her.
Rebecca, we just overcame a crisis. What's there to be excited about? And what exactly did you achieve? Can't you see it? This is a blessing in disguise. The owner of Global Investment came to my rescue. Philip came because of him.
Harry touched Rebecca's forehead with his hand. Rebecca, are you sick? Did you lose your mind from stress? What nonsense are you saying? Rebecca slapped Harry's hand away.
It's not nonsense. Listen, Kim admitted that she didn't contact the owner of Global Investment. It was Stephen who told us that Philip would come and apologize to us.
While Helen and Harry were trying to make sense of Rebecca's logic, she took their silence as invitation to continue.
The only explanation is that Stephen used his connections with the owner of Global Investment to get Philip to come today. The owner of Global Investment is the one who made this happen. He's helping me in secret. Don't forget, Stephen himself said that he was a fan. I wouldn't be surprised if he found some way to contact him.
Harry was only slightly convinced. This is just you guessing. How confident are you?
100%. Let's wait and see. Since the owner of Global Investments has made his move, it won't be long until he shows himself.
When Kim and Amy went home, they found Stephen preparing lunch in the kitchen. Amy glanced at him briefly before going back to her room. Kim hesitated before calling out to him. Stephen, do you have some time? Can you come to my room? I have something to talk to you about.
Sure.
Stephen took off his apron and followed Kim into her room. They had been married for 3 years, but this was the first time Kim had let him into her room. They both took a seat on the bed.
What's wrong?
Stephen asked in confusion. Kim lowered her head. About what happened just now. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have suspected you before getting to the bottom of things. Stephen smiled warmly. That's okay. I understand where you were coming from. Can you tell me why Philip suddenly came to apologize? He even kneeled and didn't care if he humiliated himself.
I can tell you, but not now. When the time comes, I'll tell you everything about myself. For now, all I can say is that Philip came today because of an influential person. He had no choice but to apologize in person. Anyway, I should finish cooking. Mom will be mad if lunch isn't ready when she comes back.
Kim felt conflicted as she watched Stephen leave the room. Was this influential person her patron? She had some doubts, but could Stephen really be his fan? But if that were true, where did that leave her? What about their marriage? Did Stephen marry her because of her patron? Did he have any feelings for her at all? Kim felt a headache coming on as she flopped on the bed. Forget it. There was no point in thinking about this. After resolving the issue with Business Alliance, the day of Kim's class reunion was fast approaching. A few days before, Kim asked Stephen if he wanted to go to the mall with her. The reunion was coming up, and Caitlin wanted to take her out shopping. Stephen agreed, and 1 hour later, they arrived at the mall. Caitlin wasn't too happy when she saw them together. Kim, why did you bring him here? He's a waste of space, she whispered. Stop that. He's my husband. Don't talk about him like that. Caitlin's eyes widened. Wait, did you fall in love with him? No, right? Tell me I'm wrong. Caitlin, if you don't stop, I'm leaving, Kim warned. All right, calm down. If you don't want to tell me, that's fine. Just make sure your husband doesn't get in the way. Let's go inside. When Caitlin pulled Kim into the mall, they were greeted by a lively atmosphere and a bustling crowd. Caitlin looked around in amazement. There's a lot of people here today. Is there some kind of event going on? Let's go take a look, Kim said excitedly. It had been a long time since she attended a fun event. Stephen kept his gaze on Kim as he followed along. They pushed through the crowd to get a better view. There was a small stage at the center with a sign that read Masked Singer Competition. This was a popular show on TV where the participants wore masks during their performances, and they would only reveal their faces after the scores were finalized. This show was famous for its attractive participants. I can't believe it! Caitlin exclaimed. It's the Masked Singer Competition. I love this show. I watch every episode as soon as it's released. I doubt you watch it for their singing. You watch it for the handsome men, am I right? Kim teased. Look who's talking. When we were in college, didn't you say that your type of man was one who was good at singing? You told me that when your future boyfriend proposed, he would have to sing you a love song, or else you wouldn't marry him. Kim's face reddened when Caitlin revealed her embarrassing past. That was a long time ago. Why are you bringing that up now? Although Kim couldn't help but feel a little disappointed that her dream from her youth had never come true. This is why everyone thinks you got the short end of the stick when you married Stephen. Forget about love songs. I'm pretty sure he's never given you a single present. Kim's disappointment grew. It was true that during these past 3 years, Stephen had never given her a gift. And not too long ago, he had promised to give her a present on their anniversary. But when the time came, he had disappeared for an entire day. Stop talking. Just listen to the song, she said with a sigh. Stephen noticed the disappointed look on Kim's face. So her type of man was one who would sing her romantic songs. While Kim and Caitlin were focused on the stage, Stephen took the opportunity to squeeze out of the crowd and head to the studio behind the stage. Not long after, the host on stage made an announcement. Everyone, just now, someone came backstage and said that his wife really liked love songs, but he never had a chance to sing for her. He wanted to make up for his shortcomings and show her that he loves her. He'll be singing the popular song, The Girl Who Spoke to Me. Please give him a round of applause. The host's announcement reminded Kim of her conversation with Caitlin just now. She glanced at Stephen, only to find that he had disappeared. Kim's heart skipped a beat. Was the host referring to Stephen? A man wearing a mask walked on stage. Even though half of his face was covered, everyone could tell that he was handsome. Caitlin's eyes sparkled. He's so good-looking, don't you think so? Kim didn't say anything. The man on stage looked strangely familiar. The stage went dark for a second before a single light lit up above the man, putting him in the spotlight. The music sounded, and the man started singing. The heart is empty, the sky is vast, and the clouds are heavy. I hate this feeling of loneliness, but I don't know how to make it go away. The man's voice was deep and magnetic. The audience was immersed in his singing. They felt like he was a lover, whispering into their ear and expressing his feelings for them. The man continued to sing with deep emotion. She told me that she was protecting her dream. She said that there weren't too many people like her in this world, but she gradually forgot about me. Each word captivated the audience and melted their hearts. They felt like they were listening to a story of a man returning to his youth and reminiscing about his unforgettable first love. Kim's gaze was fixed on the stage. She wasn't sure if she was just imagining things, but the man seemed to be looking in her direction. When the song ended, the audience erupted into cheers and applause. After the man stepped off the stage, the audience was still mesmerized by his singing. He sang so well. He was 100 times better than a professional singer. Even though he was wearing a mask, I have a feeling that he's a handsome guy. What should I do? I want to hear him sing another song. I recorded a video and posted it online. Kim and Caitlin stayed for a bit longer before pushing their way out of the crowd. After hearing The Girl Who Spoke to Me, they didn't think any other song could impress them and draw them in. Kim was filled with expectation when Stephen came back. "Where did you go?" "I had a stomachache, so I went to the bathroom. What's wrong?" Stephen asked. Kim was disappointed. It seemed like she had gotten her hopes up for nothing. "All right, never mind." Caitlin was watching a video on her phone of the man who had just performed on stage. "Kim, look, he's so handsome. I think I fell in love. What should I do?" "What do you mean you fell in love? You don't know what he looks like, and you don't know what kind of person he is. What if he turns out to be some bad guy?" "With such a beautiful voice and attractive build, he has to be handsome," Caitlin said. She paused the video and uploaded it to her social media page, along with the caption, "Hive mind, I want all the information you can find on this mystery man." Stephen felt a little awkward. Why had his singing impressed his wife's friend, but not his wife? After posting the video, Caitlin's phone rang. She chatted briefly before hanging up. "That was Joe. He said he's nearby and wants to treat us to a meal." "But he was injured the last time I saw him. Is he well enough to go around outside?" "I don't know. Wait, look over there." Caitlin pointed at the entrance. "He's here at the mall." Joe walked up to them. "Are you already recovered?" Kim asked in surprise. "Of course. Those wounds were nothing I couldn't handle," Joe said smugly. Stephen crossed his arms. "Did you have fun pretending?" If Joe had really been injured to the point where he would have shown up at Helen's house in a wheelchair and wrapped in bandages, he would have needed more than a few days to recover. Since Joe appeared to have fully recovered in such a short time, his injuries were most likely superficial. He probably found out that those 4 thugs were Christina's underlings, and he was afraid that they would come after him, so he pretended like he was severely injured on purpose. Joe was embarrassed when he realized that Stephen saw through him. "I don't know what you're talking about." Caitlin interjected impatiently. "Stop wasting time. Joe, where are you planning on taking us?" "Why don't we go to the restaurant in this mall instead of going out?" Joe suggested. "That's a great idea," Caitlin said. "I heard it's one of the best high-end restaurants in Los Angeles." Joe shrugged. "It's not that expensive. I usually come here to have dinner with my friends." He glanced at Stephen. "Well, I suppose for some people, they might not have ever had a chance to come here." Caitlin intervened because she was afraid that a fight would break out. "Let's get going already." Stephen didn't follow them when they went upstairs. He frowned as he looked at his watch. "Why isn't Keisha here yet?" In the next second, Keisha ran into the mall.
"Mr. Adams, I'm so sorry for being late."
"It's fine. Did you bring what I asked for?" Keisha held out a box.
"It's right here. I went to all the jewelers in the city to find this necklace. It was $1,200,000.
"Good work." Stephen took the box and went upstairs. Kim, Caitlin, and Joe had already gotten a table at the restaurant. Kim was worried when she realized that Stephen hadn't come with them. Where did Stephen go? Maybe he saw how fancy the restaurant was and didn't have the courage to come in, Caitlin said. Joe laughed. "I don't think so. He had the guts to come to my uncle's company. Why would he be scared because of a restaurant?" "That's true. He has no sense of shame." Kim couldn't be bothered to put a stop to their criticisms. She stood up to leave. "I'm going to look for him." Caitlin grabbed Kim's arm and sat her back down. "Do you think he's 3 years old? If he wants to leave, then let him leave. Let's look at the menu and enjoy our food." Joe took out a box and held it out to Kim. "Our class reunion is coming up. I noticed you didn't wear much jewelry, so I had someone bring back this necklace from abroad last night. I hope you like it." This necklace cost more than $200,000. Joe had put a lot of effort into getting it, and he was confident in his gift. However, Kim refused it. "No, it's okay. I already have a necklace." Joe hurriedly opened the box. "You haven't seen it yet. Look, it's beautiful. I spent more than $200,000 to convey my feelings for you." Caitlin took the box and put it in front of Kim. "Joe spent all that money just to buy you this necklace. Just accept it." "It wasn't that expensive," Joe said. This was the perfect time to confess. Kim, I'm willing to buy anything for you because I love you. Just then, Stephen came into the restaurant. Your gift is worthless. He took the box and threw it under the table. What are you doing? Caitlin demanded. Do you know how much that necklace cost? Over $200,000. You would never be able to save up that much money. Pick it up and apologize to Joe. How is $200,000 considered expensive? Do you know how much the Moon of the Nile is worth? $2 billion, Stephen retorted. Caitlin was at a loss for words. Joe glared at him. No matter how expensive the Moon of the Nile is, it wasn't a gift from you. The owner of Global Investment gave it to Kim. But what about you? Did you prepare a gift for her? Of course I did. Stephen knew that Kim might hesitate to wear anything too precious, so he had asked Keisha to find this necklace. Caitlin looked up at Stephen with a warning in her eyes. If you really have a gift for Kim, it better not be something you bought on the streets. I won't let it go if you embarrass her. Joe stood up. Let's make a bet. If your gift is worth more than mine, I'll get down on all fours and... If not, then it'll be you on the floor. What do you say? No matter what, he would make Stephen lose all of his dignity in front of Kim today. Kim was worried that Stephen would lose the bet and be forced to embarrass himself. He didn't have a stable job, and she didn't have enough money in her bank to help him. So how could he have prepared a gift worth more than $200,000? Stephen, stop messing around. I don't need presents. Caitlin was also concerned. Even though she didn't have a good impression of Stephen, she didn't want him to humiliate himself, because that would be the same as embarrassing Kim. Hey, don't be rash. Kim's reputation is on the line. Despite Kim's warnings, Stephen agreed to the bet and rendered all of them speechless. It's a deal. Kim glared at Stephen. She was so frustrated that she didn't know what to say. Was he not aware of his own financial status? Caitlin sighed as she grabbed her and Kim's handbags. Let's leave. If you stay, everyone will be mocking you tomorrow. Joe continued to provoke him. It seems like I've overestimated your intelligence. It's been a long time since I've heard a... Well, what are you waiting for? Show us your gift. Stephen took out the box that Keisha had given him and gave it to Kim. I told you before that I wouldn't embarrass you. Kim, this is my gift to you. Stephen, you have to think things over before agreeing, Kim chided. She didn't think he was capable of buying her valuable gifts. As for the bet, maybe she could just drag Stephen out of the restaurant with her. Joe urged Kim to open the box. See what's inside. I'm really curious as to why he's so confident. Commotion in the restaurant attracted the attention of the other customers. They watched in anticipation as Kim reluctantly opened the box. Everyone was in disbelief the moment the necklace came into view. That's Burgess's necklace. It was revealed to the public a few days ago. I didn't think I would get the chance to see it for myself. I'm so glad I decided to dine here today. If I'm not wrong, this necklace is worth at least $1,200,000. That lady is so lucky. Joe refused to believe that Stephen had the means to purchase a necklace worth over $1 million. I won't be fooled. You hired someone to forge a fake necklace, didn't you? If it's real, you should have an invoice and an anti-counterfeit certificate. Take them out. If you really have them, I'll admit defeat. Stephen raised his eyebrows. I don't have that. He had been in such a rush when Keisha gave him the box that he had forgotten to ask for them. Joe smirked. Stephen, you're really stupid. You say it's real, but you don't have an invoice? Who would believe that? Since you lost the bet, get on the floor already. Caitlin let out a sigh. Kim, this husband of yours is such a disappointment. I can't believe he actually gave you a fake. Kim didn't say anything. She was staring at the necklace in the box. This was her first gift from Stephen. As long as it's a gift from him, I like it, Kim said. Just as she was about to put it on, one of the customers at another table hurried over. Wait, I've been working in the jewelry industry for decades. Can you let me see the necklace? Maybe I can help you determine if it's real or fake. Joe recognized him. Mr. Finley, long time no see. You're a famous jewelry appraiser in the city, so I trust your judgment. Kim hesitated and looked at Stephen. When he nodded, she gave the necklace to Mr. Finley. Mr. Finley took out a small device and shone a beam of light on the necklace. He carefully scrutinized the jewels. After some time, he put away his tools and took a deep breath. Mr. Finley, it looks like you have an answer. Tell us, is it real or is it fake? Joe asked. This necklace is real, Mr. Finley announced. Joe's smile slipped. What? Mr. Finley, are your eyes going bad because you're getting up there in age? Mr. Finley ignored Joe and took out a small microscope to show the necklace to the onlookers. I'm not wrong. All of you can take a look. The initials FG are engraved on the necklace. It's well hidden, and not just anyone can accomplish this. Everyone was amazed when they confirmed Mr. Finley's words with their own eyes. It's really there. Only experts in this field would be able to find it. I didn't think that young man would really have a gift worth more than $1 million. He's not even wearing anything special. Caitlin's mouth dropped open in shock. How did you buy something this expensive? On the other hand, Kim was overwhelmed with joy. Stephen turned to Joe. The winner is clear. Isn't it about time you own up to your own words? Should I ask the waiter for a glass of water before you... Joe clenched his fists. How could he have lost to Stephen this many times in a row? I'm warning you now, Stephen. Don't take things too far. Are you going to pretend like the bet didn't exist? Who's pretending? You're the one who cheated. Someone like you couldn't have possibly had more than $1 million to buy a gift. It had to have been Kim who gave you the money. Asking your wife to pay for her own gift. Do you not have any shame? No matter how much Caitlin thought about it, the only explanation for Stephen's gift was that it was Kim's money. Kim, did you really give Stephen over $1 million? No, I didn't, Kim said firmly. Joe refused to admit he'd lost. I don't care. In any case, you cheated, so I didn't lose. Joe turned around to leave. Wait, you forgot to take your gift with you. Stephen picked up the box under the table and flung it at him. When the box hit Joe's back, he tripped, and he fell on the floor in the middle of the restaurant with everyone watching. When they returned home, Stephen was happy to see Kim going straight to her room to put on the necklace. Do you like it? Kim nodded shyly. I do. As she looked in the mirror and examined the necklace, she asked, Where did you get the money? Kim worried Stephen had done something illegal. Stephen smiled. Don't worry, the money's clean. Trust me. Kim looked into his eyes. He didn't seem to be lying. I believe you. In the evening, Stephen left the house and drove to the store where he had purchased the $2 wine. When Stephen arrived, he saw the owner, Matthew Lozano, closing the door. A heavy backpack was on his back. It seemed like he was planning to go on a long journey. It's still early. Are you closing already? Matthew turned around. He was surprised to see Stephen. Oh, it's you. There's not much business today, so I was planning on going home early. Stephen sat on the doorstep of the store. To me, it looks like you're running off somewhere. What do you mean? Do you know why I visit your store even though my house is far away? It's because you give off a murderous aura. No, it would be more accurate to call it the smell of blood. Even so, you managed to open up a small store and lead an ordinary life. I'm impressed, and I'm also very curious. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm leaving, so what do you want? Matthew said as he walked past Stephen. If my guess is right, someone's after you. That's why you're leaving. Matthew stopped in his tracks. How much do you know? Nothing much, but I have a feeling that you're holding a grudge. I'm no stranger to grudges, so in a sense, that puts us in the same boat. People like us aren't destined for an easy life. Escaping isn't going to solve the problem. If anything happens in the future, you can look for me at the villa at the highest point in the city. Stephen stood up and dusted his clothes. I'm leaving. Remember what I told you. He waved and walked back to his car. Matthew chuckled as Stephen drove away. He really is an interesting man. By the time Stephen went home, it was late. Kim was probably already sleeping. After washing up, he went back to his room and logged on to A Live. He wondered how Amy was doing. He hadn't logged in ever since she won the competition. The instant Stephen logged in, a message flashed on his screen. It was from Amy. Stefan, you're finally online. I've been waiting for you. Stephen typed a reply. He tried to keep his tone cold so that she wouldn't misunderstand and think that he was interested in her. I was bored, so I decided to log in.
Really? I have a feeling that you're trying to run away from me. You obviously like me too. I even failed my exams because I couldn't stop thinking about you.
At the end of the message was a crying emoji. Stephen swallowed anxiously. When did he deliberately avoid her? Why was her brain like this? If Kim or Natalie ever found out that Amy was neglecting her studies because of her brother-in-law, that would be the end of him. Mimi, how can I make you believe that I really don't like you?
How am I supposed to believe that? If you really didn't like me, why did you spend so much money to help me? It just doesn't make sense unless you're stupid and have way too much money.
A fool with a lot of money. An idea popped into Stephen's head. I really do have a lot of money, he replied. Then he dialed Jack's number. Put another $1 billion into my A-Live account. Understood. I'll take care of it right away, Jack said. He could already imagine the chaos that was about to ensue on A-Live because of Stephen. Nicole Travis was a student at Amy's university. She heard that Amy had recently made a lot of money from streaming, so she bought a secondhand computer to try her hand at streaming online. Nicole registered an account with the nickname Nikki and set up her stream. But after a few days, her number of followers was still at 0, and she hadn't received a single gift. Nicole sighed. If she were as pretty as Amy, maybe someone like Stephen Asher would have joined her streams and supported her too. Just when Nicole was about to give up on A-Live, someone joined her stream. She sat up at the start. Was she hallucinating? The nickname of the person who just joined was Stephen Asher. Then, something even more unbelievable happened. A flashy system notification appeared on every single stream. Stephen Asher has sent Nikki 100 warships. Nicole was so shocked that she almost fell off of her chair. 100 ships was worth 100 million. Was this the beginning of her career as an online streamer? Nicole was excited and nervous at the same time as she debated how to greet her viewers. Thousands of viewers rushed to Nicole's stream, and before long, the number of viewers reached 5 million. They all wanted to see what kind of person a wealthy man like Stephen had supported. The moment they joined the stream, they were shocked to see a young lady making strange faces at the camera. Everyone was speechless. Who knew the only person on A-Live with the label of Emperor would actually have such bizarre tastes? Amy sent an angry message to Stephen.
What are you doing? Are you trying to make me mad on purpose?
She didn't receive a reply. Another system announcement appeared and caused an uproar. Stephen was giving 100 million to another streamer. The viewers on Nicole's stream immediately left and joined another. Nicole was frustrated when her number of viewers dropped to the single digits, but it didn't take long for her mood to improve. Since Stephen had given her 100 million, she should cash out the money right away. At this time, the viewers were confused when they were greeted by an empty room on their screen. The streamer that Stephen had supported had left temporarily. Everyone wondered who this lucky streamer was. Suddenly, an unkempt and half-asleep middle-aged man shuffled out of the bathroom and sat in front of the camera. When the man looked at the screen, he was instantly wide awake. He had left his stream running overnight, and when he returned after going to bed, a 100 million gift was on his screen. The man and the viewers wondered if Stephen had supported the wrong streamer by mistake. Before anyone could guess what was going through Stephen's mind, another system announcement appeared. This time, Stephen had given a streamer who live broadcasted the daily life of their cat 100 million. Amy also joined the stream. She was dumbfounded when she saw a cat on her screen. She hurriedly sent Stephen another message.
Why are you doing this? No matter how much money you have, you can't just throw it away like it's worth nothing.
Stephen sent her a reply. Shh, I've only just begun. He closed out his chat room with Amy and continued to join random streams to give the streamer 100 million. The system announcements appeared one after another. After Stephen gave out a total of 1 billion, he joined Mimi's stream. Amy decided not to send a private message and directly commented in the chat, "Enough of your craziness." To the streamers and the viewers on A-Live, it seemed like all of this was a result of a lover's quarrel between Stephen and Mimi. Stephen was throwing away his money to vent his anger. Everyone hoped that they would argue more often. Stefan sent a message into the chat. I'm not crazy. I'm just proving to you that what I said was true. Amy was so angry that her hands were shaking as she typed up a response. Before she could send it, another message from Stefan popped up. Oh, I almost forgot. I still have some money left in my account. The viewers commented that during the competition, Stefan had said the same thing. But right after, he had gifted Mimi $100 million. They told him to work on his acting skills. A line of text appeared on the screen. Stefan Asher has gifted Mimi 10 hearts. Amy and the viewers were stunned. Each heart was worth $1. 10 hearts was equivalent to $10. One last message from Stefan appeared in the chat. I'm done with A Live. I won't be logging in again. Goodbye. Amy slammed the laptop shut and punched her pillow to vent her frustrations. Her innocent first love had come to an end. After Steven sent Amy 10 hearts, he left her stream. He logged out and deleted Aquaria Live app from his phone. Steven heaved a sigh of relief. He had resolved a huge issue with his sister-in-law before it could get any worse. In the blink of an eye, Monday arrived. Today was the class reunion. Caitlin dropped by Kim's house in the morning. Are you awake? We have to get ready. Kim was half asleep as she stared blankly at Caitlin. What's the hurry? It's still early. The reunion's at 6 p.m. What do you mean it's early? Think about it. You have to do your hair, put on makeup, choose accessories. There's so much you have to do. Kim shook her head. There's no need to dress up. Listen, you may have been born pretty, but I need to dress up, okay? Can't you come with me? Kim had no choice but to give in. All right, fine, let's go. She looked back at Steven, who was wiping the table. What about Steven? Forget about him, Caitlin said. He'll only get in the way if he follows us. Steven gave them a shrug. I have some business to attend to in the afternoon. You guys go ahead. Kim, send me the address and room number later. I promise I'll be on time. Kim nodded as Caitlin led her to the door. At least your husband's somewhat sensible. After Kim and Caitlin left, Steven took out his phone and called Jack. Mr. Adams, we've found Matthew Lozano, but the situation isn't good. If you have time, it'd be better if you came over. I'll be there in 20 minutes. Steven hung up and rushed out of the house. He had been worried after he saw Matthew last night, so he had sent Jack to protect him. Unfortunately, they were one step too late. Matthew was a global investment. He was lying on the couch in the office. How's his condition? Steven asked. He hadn't made many friends over the past 3 years, and Matthew was one of them. They hadn't talked much, but they had a mutual understanding of each other. It's a miracle that he's alive. If he were a normal person, he wouldn't have survived, Jack said. Steven went over to the couch. I know you can hear me. You have 2 choices. 1, you. 2, live and take your revenge. Matthew struggled to speak. I'm going to live, and I'm going to take my revenge. All right. Steven turned to Jack. Have some people carry him, and follow me. Mr. Adams, where are we going? Jack asked. With Matthew's current injuries, each bump along the road would only make it worse. If this went on, he might before they even reached their destination. To a strange man's house. It's not far. Don't worry, as long as he's alive, that we'll have a way to revive him. Half an hour later, they arrived at a courtyard located on the outskirts of the city. When they were about to go in, a man came out and intercepted them. Who are you looking for? Steven held his hands behind his back and looked at him coldly. Tell Colin to come out and see me. How dare you call Mr. Hester's name so casually? The man demanded. When he met Steven's gaze, he couldn't help but shiver. He stammered as he spoke. Who do you think you are? Do you have an appointment? Steven couldn't be bothered with pointless conversation. Just as he was about to walk past the man stepped in front of him. Hey, not just anyone can go inside, the man exclaimed helplessly. Before he could say anything more, a familiar face came up behind them. It was Joe. What's all this noise about? Aren't you aware that Mr. Hester's busy right now? I don't know. I told them not to mess around, but they wouldn't listen. When Joe's gaze fell on Stephen and the others, he sighed in annoyance. Why is it you again? Leave. Not just anyone can meet with Mr. Hester. And who are you supposed to be, giving orders like you own the place? Whatever, it doesn't matter. Tell Colin to come out, Stephen said. I'm Mr. Hester's student, and I have a right to tell you to leave. Joe had been Colin's student ever since he was young. He was talented, and all the other students looked up to him. Stephen took a step forward and looked him in the eye. Is that so? Without waiting for Joe's response, Stephen looked past him and called out, Colin, hurry up and come out! An elderly man's voice rang out from the back of the house. Who is it? Why are you being so loud? Can't an old man sleep in peace around here? Joe hurried over and supported Colin. He didn't hesitate to add fuel to the fire. Mr. Hester, there's someone here who said you'll in front of him. He even said your medical skills are mediocre. It's not a big deal, Colin said. They're just trying to provoke me. It happens several times a year. We can't just get them out. Joe called out to Stephen. Did you hear that? You're the useless son-in-law of the Cassidy family. What right do you have to come here? Get lost. Colin tensed. Wait, who did you say he was? He's the son-in-law of the Cassidy family, Stephen Adams. Like him should be thrown out immediately. Colin cursed under his breath. What did you say? Get out of here! Joe looked at Stephen in disdain. Did you hear that? Mr. Hester told you to get out. Colin gritted his teeth. You! I'm talking to you! He pushed Joe away and rushed to get on his in front of Stephen. Mr. Adams, I apologize for my student's rudeness. Colin was a genius in the medical field. Because of his talent, he was arrogant and looked down on everyone, with the exception of Stephen. After all, who would dare look down on the Grand Palace Master? Stephen chuckled. It's only been half a year since the last time I saw you. You've become more pretentious, huh? I'm very sorry, Mr. Adams. Joe couldn't believe his eyes. How could anyone make his teacher cower in fear like this? Mr. Hester, have you gone crazy? When Colin shot him a glare, he swallowed his words. Stephen gestured to Matthew, who was being carried out by one of his people. No matter what it takes, you have to save him. Understood. Stephen turned and left without sparing a glance at Joe. Joe recovered from his shock and ran over to help Colin stand up. Why are you so polite with him? Isn't he just a... Joe, you can't judge people by their appearances. You have to look beneath the exterior. Only then will you understand. Joe frowned as he gave it some thought. Colin had in front of Stephen, which meant that Stephen was either wealthy or had influential connections. He found it hard to believe that Stephen was rich, so it had to be the latter. It seemed like that Stephen had found someone powerful to have his back. He hadn't changed at all. Let's see who'll be there to help you at the class reunion, Joe thought. By the time Stephen finished his work, it was already 5 p.m. Kim sent him a text. Here's the address to the hotel. My class reunion is on the 18th floor. We're in room 318. Stephen was surprised when he searched up the address. This was a 5-star hotel restaurant in Los Angeles. Each meal was at least in the 5 digits. Most importantly, if he was remembering correctly, this hotel was one of his businesses. It seemed like Joe had put in a lot of effort. In that case, he would bleed Joe's money dry. Half an hour later, Stephen arrived at the hotel's private room. Kim stood up and greeted him as soon as he went inside. Stephen, come sit next to me. In an instant, all eyes were on him. Who is that? Why would he sit beside her? Don't you know? He's the son-in-law of the Cassidy family. Their marriage made the news 3 years ago. That's him. If they have kids, will they take on Kim's last name instead of his? Stephen ignored their gossip. He took a sip of water as he scanned the room. There were 20 people, and Joe wasn't here yet. Caitlin leaned over to Kim and whispered, I told you it would be a bad idea to bring him here. Look, everyone's laughing at him, but he's acting like he can't hear them. The door opened once more, and Joe strolled in. He was wearing a suit. Sorry for being late. I was preparing a lecture for Harvard University. I'm really busy these days. Joe took a seat at the head of the table. There's a face I don't recognize. Kim, why don't you introduce us to the person sitting next to you? Joe already knew the answer, but putting Stephen down would be a great start to the class reunion. Kim knew that Joe was asking her to introduce Stephen on purpose. Joe wanted to make things difficult for him. You already know that he's my... Before she could finish, Stephen interrupted her. Weren't you all talking about me just now? I'm a useless son-in-law. The atmosphere turned awkward. No one expected Stephen to be this direct and shameless. Joe quickly spoke up to lighten the mood. Everyone, let's eat. There's no need to waste your time with irrelevant people. Everyone praised Joe. It's all thanks to you that we're able to have our class reunion at a luxurious hotel like this. Yeah, he's the most successful person here. He's a professor before the age of 30. And I also heard that he's Colin Hester's student. I'm so envious of his future wife. Whoever marries him will be blessed with good fortune. While Joe was enjoying himself with all the compliments, the sound of chewing distracted him. He looked at Stephen, who was eating like he had been starved for days. As he shoved food into his mouth, he also put some food onto Kim's plate. Try this, it's delicious, Stephen said as he licked his lips. Kim covered her mouth with her hand to stifle a laugh. She knew that he was doing this on purpose to annoy Joe. Caitlin couldn't bear to watch this any longer. Stephen, pay attention to your image, she whispered. But didn't we gather today to have a meal? That's exactly what I'm doing. No wonder everyone calls him useless. How uncultured. He doesn't know the first thing about etiquette. I feel bad for Kim. She has someone like him as her husband. If it weren't for Joe, you wouldn't even be here right now. Joe laughed. All right, let's not make things difficult for Stephen. After all, he's never seen such luxurious dishes in his life. It's only natural that he couldn't resist the urge to dig in. Joe gave Stephen a scornful look. With this kind of image, you still want to fight over Kim with me? Dream on, he thought. Everyone continued to criticize Stephen. As expected of Joe, he has a big heart. That's right, he's even standing up for this. If I were him, I wouldn't have had the courage to show my face today. What an embarrassment. Kim had already predicted that this would happen. That was why she was hesitant to bring Stephen here. That's enough. If you keep this up, we'll be leaving. Kim, don't be angry, Joe said. We're just joking with him. Stephen, you wouldn't be so petty as to get mad, right? Stephen looked up from his plate. Your two-faced personality is ruining my appetite. Joe frowned. What did you say? I said your two-faced personality is ruining my appetite. But of course, I'm only joking. You won't be petty and get mad at me, right? Kim couldn't help but laugh out loud. Even Caitlin was having a hard time holding back her laughter. Joe was furious. I've got to hand it to you, Stephen. You're eloquent with your words. Since you seem proud of yourself, why don't you take this chance and redeem your image? You don't want to be called a freeloader at Kim's house forever, right? It's not like I care about this small amount of money, but I just want to give you an opportunity to prove yourself. Stephen pretended like he didn't understand. So what you mean is, no matter how many dishes we order and how much we eat, you'll pay half of the bill at the end and I'll pay the other half? Sounds good. Can I order the dishes? You're quick on the uptake. Of course you can order. Pick whatever you want. Joe guessed that Stephen wanted to order because he was afraid that the bill would be too high. Either way, this worked out in Joe's favor. If Stephen only ordered the cheapest items on the menu, then everyone would think that he didn't want to spend that much money. If he ordered a decent amount, it still wouldn't matter, because he wouldn't have the money to pay for it. Okay, I'll start ordering, Stephen said. He waved the waiter over and looked at the menu. Joe smiled as he watched him order, but 5 minutes later, his smile faltered. Stephen hadn't finished ordering. So far, he had ordered the most expensive dishes on the menu. The cheapest dish he chose was $8,000. A few minutes later, Stephen finally stopped, but it seemed like he was taking a break after taking so long and was planning to continue soon. Joe cut in before he could order more. Wait, That's enough. We shouldn't waste food.
Well, if you say so.
Stephen looked at the waiter.
How many dishes did I order just now?
108 dishes. Your total will be 2.5 million, the waiter replied. Joe swallowed nervously. If they split 2.5 million, he would have to pay at least 1.25 million. It was a lot of money even for him, but he decided to leave it alone. He wanted to see how Stephen would pay for it. Everyone at the table looked at each other. Joe, isn't this too much? I'm not sure if we can finish it all. Who cares? It's worth 2.5 million. I wouldn't be able to earn this amount of money even if I worked for the rest of my life. Joe really is successful. Not too many people in the city are on his level. The waiter took back the menu. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll notify the kitchen of your order right away. Before the waiter could leave, Stephen called out to him. Hold on, I'm not done yet. Give me 3 servings of the dishes I just ordered. Everyone was stunned. 3 servings of each dish? 1 serving was already 2.5 million. 3 servings would be 7.5 million. That was enough money to buy 2 of the most luxurious mansions in Los Angeles. Joe was secretly panicking. His current savings were only around 5 million. If he forked over 3.75 million all at once, wouldn't he go bankrupt soon? Not to mention, how was Stephen going to pay for his half of the bill? Was he out of his mind? Stephen, what's wrong with you? Caitlin demanded. Can you even finish all these dishes? Kim agreed with her. She's right. I didn't bring that much money with me today. If you order this much, I'll have to spend several million. It's fine. We're splitting the bill anyway. I'll pay my half with my card. Stephen looked at Joe. Besides, even if Joe were to pay for everything, he wouldn't care about this small amount of money. Am I right? Joe forced a smile. Of course. If you really don't have the money. Great. Stephen turned to the waiter again. How much do you charge for your best wine? Our most expensive wine was specially delivered to our hotel from Portugal. 1 bottle is worth 1.2 million. The waiter answered excitedly. If this group were to order 1 or 2 bottles, his performance would skyrocket. Give me 20 bottles, Stephen said lightly. Everyone stared at him in disbelief. Joe's face paled. 20 bottles? He wasn't about to go bankrupt for a meal. Wait, after this, we're still going to the bar and karaoke. Let's not go overboard. Stephen pretended to be troubled. This won't do. How can we have good food without good wine? This has been the standard ever since ancient times. How about we compromise? Let's order 2 bottles instead of 20. Joe clenched his fists. After this meal, he would have to spend 4.95 million. But Stephen wouldn't be able to act this crazy once it was time to settle the bill. Even if he had to empty his bank, at least he would have the pleasure of witnessing Stephen destroy his own reputation. All right, just 2 bottles. Sometime later, the dishes were ready. The waiters had to prepare 2 tables to accommodate 3 servings of dishes. The aroma was enough to make their mouths water. Everyone was grateful to Joe. Thanks, Joe. Now I can brag to my friends that I've eaten a meal worth several million dollars before. He's a hero for giving us this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Joe was in a daze as he thought about his bank account. No need to be polite. Eat your fill, he said through clenched teeth. Kim looked at the delicacies on the table, but she didn't have an appetite. Stephen, how are you going to pay for all of this? When there's a chance, you should leave. Joe will foot the bill. Stephen laughed. Don't worry, I'll take care of it. Maybe I won't even need to pay. Caitlin narrowed her eyes. Keep dreaming. When the bill comes, you'll be crying on the floor. It wasn't long before the plates were emptied. Everyone was satisfied with the extravagant meal. Joe hesitated for a long time before calling the waiter over. He would be losing several million because of Stephen. The waiter was all smiles as he approached the table. May I ask who will be paying? Joe pointed at Stephen. Me and him. He'll pay half of it first, then it'll be me. I understand. How will you be paying? I'll use my credit card, Stephen said indifferently. He followed the waiter out of the room. Joe looked around the table and said, Let's go see how he'll pay. When they were downstairs, everyone crowded around Stephen like he was a celebrity. The manager of the hotel had already received news of Stephen's identity. He stood next to the front desk respectfully. Mr. Ad. Stephen shook his head, signaling for the manager not to reveal his identity. Stephen threw a glance over his shoulder. Hey, Joe, are you sure you don't want to pay first? You go first. I want to see just how rich you are. Joe couldn't wait for him to make a fool out of himself. Okay, Stephen said as he turned back to the manager. Could you please tell me how much half of the bill would be? The manager looked over the bill and did some brief calculations. The total is $9.9 million. Half of it would be $4.95 million. Everyone knew that their meal had been expensive, but hearing it in person was still a shocker. Kim took out her card and pushed it in Stephen's hand. Use this. I still have $600,000 on my card. Caitlin followed suit and took out her own card. Even though she looked down on Stephen, he was her best friend's husband. She couldn't just watch him lose face. I knew you'd cause trouble. You only know how to embarrass Kim. Take this. My card has over $1 million. Stephen gave Kim and Caitlin their cards back. It'll be fine. I told you before, right? Maybe I won't have to pay. He gave the manager a meaningful look. This is hilarious. What makes you think you won't have to pay? Do you think you're the owner of the hotel? If you can't pay, you'll be arrested. You're only capable of talking big. Joe smirked. Even though he had lost to Stephen several times before, their society placed more importance on one's wealth. He would be spending more than planned, but watching Stephen be humiliated would be worth it. Sir, hold on a minute, the manager exclaimed. I just checked, and you're our hotel's 880,000th customer. Regardless of what you ordered, it will all be free of charge. Stephen was impressed by the manager's splendid acting. He pretended to be surprised. Free of charge? It looks like I really can't predict the future. In other words, I don't have to pay anything for my half of the bill, right? The manager nodded. That's right. You're very lucky. Everyone was dumbfounded. Half of the bill was $4.95 million, but Stephen wouldn't have to pay a single penny. This was unbelievable. Joe stepped forward. No, I'm the one who will be paying first. I'm the lucky one, not him. Everyone spoke up for Joe because they couldn't accept that someone like Stephen had managed to find a loophole to get out of paying his half of the bill. He's the one who invited all of us here today. Logically speaking, he should be the one paying first. We can all testify to that. We were just joking around when we said we should let Stephen go first. You might not know this, but the person in front of you is the useless son-in-law of the Cassidy family. But Joe is one of the youngest professors in the city. He's also the student of the famous doctor, Colin Hester. I'm sorry, but the hotel has its rules, the manager said, pretending like there was nothing he could do about it. I've been here this entire time, and I heard Mr. Holloway tell Mr. Adams to pay first. If it was a joke, I'm sorry, but I couldn't tell. The manager lowered his head in apology, but internally, he was thinking that this group of people were ridiculous. Who were they calling a useless son-in-law? What a load of nonsense. The person in front of them was the owner of this hotel. If he was considered useless, what would that make the rest of them? Mr. Adams, you're all set. Mr. Holloway, please come this way to pay. Joe was at a loss. What the heck was going on? He had risked almost all of his savings to humiliate Stephen. But in the end, Stephen would be walking away scot-free, whereas he would have to spend almost $5 million for this group of so-called classmates of his. What a joke! No, I can't accept this. You can refuse, but I'll have to call the police and blacklist you from the entire hotel industry in the city, the manager warned as he picked up his phone. Wait, I'll give you my card. Joe couldn't afford to get in trouble with the police. His reputation would be ruined. He took out a card and held it out with a shaky hand. The manager swiped the card and returned it to him. Thank you, Mr. Holloway. Oh yes, because the amount you spent today set a record, we've decided that in the future, whenever you're here, we'll give you an unlimited supply of peanuts. Joe was so angry that he almost threw the card on the floor. He had spent almost $5 million for free peanuts? Stephen stood to the side with Kim and Caitlin. How did you know you wouldn't have to pay? Kim asked. He shrugged. Who knows? Maybe I'm actually a prophet in disguise. You're so full of yourself, Caitlin said with a sigh, but she was secretly envious of his heaven-defying luck. One of Kim and Caitlin's university classmates came up to them. She was wearing heavy makeup and a revealing outfit.
Steven, you're acting like you're all that, but if it weren't for Joe telling you to pay first, you wouldn't have had the chance to eat a free meal. If you really think you're a prophet, you should be thanking Joe for his kindness.
She was doing this to get Joe's attention. After all, he was a wealthy man who had spent almost $5 million to treat them. Stephen smiled. You don't believe me?
Why would anyone with a brain believe you?
Fine, tell me where you work. I'll prove that I can predict the future. The woman grinned as she held out her business card.
I'm Lauren, and I'm a secretary at this company. My salary is more than $20,000 a month. How's that? Are you scared?
Stephen glanced at the card. I see. He sent Jack a message before putting his phone back into his pocket. I predict that in 3 minutes, your boss will call you and tell you that you've been fired. Lauren laughed.
Are you serious? My boss is going to fire me? Let me tell you something. Even if my boss fires everyone at the company, he'll never fire me.
In addition to being the boss's secretary, Lauren was also his lover. He always praised her for her excellent skills at work. He would never fire her. Kim pulled Stephen back. Stop fooling around. It was already late into the evening. Why would Lauren's boss call just to fire her? Caitlin shook her head in disapproval. Only those who were incompetent relied on luck. Just then, Lauren's phone rang. It was her boss.
Didn't I tell you I'd be at my class reunion today? Couldn't you handle not talking to me for a couple hours?
What's there to handle? You're fired. This will take effect immediately. Stir up all the trouble you want, but don't even think about taking one step into the company again. Lauren was in disbelief.
What did you just say? You have no conscience, she yelled into the phone. I help you with your work during and after working hours, but now you're firing me out of the blue? How am I supposed to pay off my credit card?
Lauren stormed out of the hotel to continue her conversation in a more secluded location. Everyone was shocked as they watched her leave. Stephen faced them with a smile. Does anyone else want to test my luck? Everyone fell silent. They wanted to talk back, but after seeing Lauren's miserable ending, no one dared to take the lead. Stephen, how did you do that? Kim asked. I got lucky, he said simply. Kim was disappointed that Stephen didn't want to tell her the truth, but she didn't question him further. Okay, if you say so. Caitlin was also curious, but since he didn't want to explain, she lost interest. Joe forced a smile. He would make sure to deal with Stephen later. Since we're done here, let's head to the bar. Joe had arranged several cars in advance. They were waiting in front of the hotel's entrance to pick them up. Everyone got into their respective cars. Soon, only Joe, Kim, Caitlin, and Stephen were left. Stephen, why don't you come to the bar by yourself? Joe suggested. There's only one car. It's not enough to fit all of us. Kim frowned. I can squeeze into the back seat with Stephen. No, this car belongs to a wealthy friend of mine. It's expensive. What if something happens to the car because there's too many people sitting in the back? I won't be able to afford the damages. Besides, I'm sure Stephen is perfectly capable of driving his own car. Kim was getting very close to losing her patience. How would a car be damaged from her and Stephen sitting close together? Joe was obviously making ridiculous accusations. Fine. If he was going to be like this, then they would just go home. She didn't want to come to this reunion in the first place. When Kim was about to inform Joe that they would leave early, Stephen interrupted her. It's fine. You guys go ahead. I'll call you later. At least you know your place, Joe said. He got in the front seat and slammed the door shut. Kim let out a sigh as she looked at Stephen apologetically. If it weren't for Amy's grades, she would have never come here, and Stephen wouldn't have had to deal with all this. I'll be okay on my own. I'll be there soon, Stephen said. When Caitlin pulled Kim to the car, she reluctantly got in. Joe didn't bother waiting for Stephen and told the driver to get going. Stephen got in his own car and headed to the bar. When he arrived, there was a crowd of people gathered on the street. Stephen stepped out of the car and made his way through the crowd. At the center was the same car that Kim and Caitlin were in. A man who looked like trouble was standing next to the front seat where Joe was sitting. Joe looked at the man, who was wearing a t-shirt and baggy jeans, and then at his cheap car. He took out a stack of $100 bills from his pocket and stuffed it in the man's hands. I admit that it's our fault for hitting your car, but you're the one who drove in front of us all of a sudden. Here's $10,000. Let's settle this peacefully. This man was not a kind person either. He threw the bills in Joe's face. I need my car for work. What am I going to do with $10,000? Buy me a car to compensate. Kim's university classmate, Carl, came rushing over. Joe, what happened? Is this person bothering you? Don't worry, I'll take care of him. Carl stood face to face with the man. He used to be on a sports team, so he was confident in his strength. If you don't know how to drive properly, then don't drive at all. Your car is worth pennies compared to his. I doubt you can even afford the repairs. The man wasn't fazed. So what? It's a fact that he hit my car. Carl stepped closer. You have a really bad temper. Why don't you work on improving your driving skills before cheating others out of their money? Carl staggered back and motioned for his classmates to come forward. 10 people surrounded the man in a heartbeat. None of them wanted to miss the opportunity of getting on Joe's good side. Joe got out of the car and the man one last time. You'll be the one to regret, not me. He's injured. Should we really just leave him here? Kim asked in a worried tone. What's wrong with that? Carl said. We didn't even that hard. A familiar voice called out to Joe. Even if you barely lifted a finger, you still have a way of making yourself look like you did all the work. Instead of trying to act cool, you should prepare yourself for the incoming disaster. Joe looked in the direction of the bar's entrance and noticed that Stephen had already arrived. What disaster? I don't know what you're talking about. Not all of us are incompetent like you. When Carl saw Stephen put on airs, he felt an urge to give him a good. The only reason he didn't was because of Kim. Stephen chuckled. It doesn't matter if you believe me. When the time comes, we'll see who's really incompetent. In this city, no one would be able to threaten Kim's safety as long as he was here. Kim pulled his arm. Stephen, stop making things worse. One of Kim's university classmates noticed her necklace. Kim, is that Fergus's necklace? It can't be a fake, right? It's limited edition, and it's worth at least $1 million. I'm not trying to look down on you or anything, but I don't think you can afford it. Kim caressed the necklace. It's real. Stephen gave it to me.
Hi, I'm Stephen.
Want to know my secrets?
Then download the Pocket FM app and listen to the exciting episodes of Secret Succession now.